the Let's Talk Leadership podcast. My name's Ellie Greening.
And my name's Sandra Patel-Stewart.
On this podcast, we will be interviewing some of the UK's greatest tech leaders. We'll be discussing war stories, battle scars, and their learnings from their journeys.
Hopefully, you will pick up some great tips, learn from others' experiences, and have a good laugh along the way.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning into the Let's Talk Leadership podcast. So this week, we've got the fantastic Joanna Drake on the show, who is the CIO at THG. So THG, formerly known as the Hut Group, has grown from a startup business to a global digital commerce group, fast becoming one of the world's leading beauty and well-being online retail organizations. Founded back in 2004, THG operates more than 160 websites that sell premium products across 140 different markets. Their digital commerce success stems from developing their own industry-leading and award-winning technology called THG Ingenuity. It powers the THG's own brands, including Look Fantastic, MyProtein, Aspar, Glossybox, as well as huge international giants such as Nintendo and Honda. Hello, Joanna.
Hello, hi.
Hi, Jo. So nice to have you on. How are you?
Yeah, very well, thanks. How are you?
Good. Yeah, good. Thank you. How's your day going so far?
Yeah, really good. Really good. It's I got a day off today. It's my birthday.
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday! I feel like we should sing happy birthday, but I'm not going to do that. Maybe I'll do that at the end.
I don't know. I'm having a nice day off with the family. So I'm just taking a little break to talk to you lovely ladies. So yeah, good, thank you.
Thank you. So I feel honoured now.
I know. I feel honoured that you've taken some time out on your birthday to speak to us. To make sure it's a special episode then, won't we? What have you got planned today then? Have you got anything? I know obviously we're on lockdown still, so it's...
Yeah, well, my amazing husband is making it a very special day for me, and he knows I like seafood and champagne, so I think there'll probably be something going on in that sort of area around lunchtime. So yeah, it's just nice to have a day off and spend it with the family. So yeah.
Seafood and champagne sounds like a great way to spend your birthday.
Yeah, exactly. yeah. Lockdown doesn't stop that, does it? So
yeah, definitely. Nice day of drinking some nice champagne. I'm sure when we've finished up recording this, then it's a bit like a nice surprise when you go downstairs.
Yeah, it's a good job that this was in the morning.
Yeah.
Could have told us some interesting stories in the afternoon.
Cool. So great to have you on. I'd love to just start I guess initially with telling our listeners and viewers a bit more about you, how it all started, how you I guess started on your road and journey to CIO. Obviously you've worked for some pretty impressive businesses. I mean, every time I kind of look at your profile and the companies that you've worked at, I just think, wow, it's just so impressive. I mean, BBC and Accenture, Diageo. I mean, I'm sure you'll go into a bit of detail how you kind of went from one business to another, but it'd be great to tell the listeners all about your journey.
Yeah, definitely. So I never intended on a career in technology. I think for me and anyone that knew me, I was sports mad, and I think I probably thought I'd always have some sort of career in some sort of sport. And I think I sort of fell into my first role really through a family friend, and I was doing sort of technical projects in my school holidays, if you like. I thought everyone was doing that. I thought that was a normal thing to do. So I did enjoy it, but I never really considered it as a career. And there was a time I had quite a bad injury, and I took a job. I'd already been doing some contracting work through this family friend, and I took a job on a help desk, which was never part of my plan. And I absolutely loved it. And every time the phone rang, I wanted to help the person on the other end of the phone understand what was going on and fix it. And then I wanted to fix it for everybody. It was like, hang on a minute, that's the 5th person that's rang, and why does that happen every Wednesday afternoon at 2 that, you know, the payroll system goes down or whatever. So I really loved understanding problems and helping people and solving them permanently, and helping the business run better, because you can either introduce better technology or just fix all of their problems. So that's where it all started for me. And then I sort of didn't really go a fully technical route. I probably went a more service management route, in understanding, well, you know, if we can manage incidents properly and then do some more sort of proactive work to analyze that data and understand the underlying problems and fix them. And, you know, this is all sort of service management type stuff. And then I sort of stepped up, and then I ran the help desk, and then I did a sort of stint in what was known then as sort of desktop support. And then I kind of went on into roles like more senior management roles to do with service management. So, you know, I recognised that every time we changed anything, we broke everything. So it was kind of like, how can we manage change better? And I got quite involved in that. And then I got an opportunity to go and work for Yahoo. And Yahoo were looking for somebody to head up global service management for them, and to devise and implement a global service management strategy that ultimately would result in with about 900 services Yahoo had at that time, ultimately ended up in them being more highly available and performant. And I spent a wonderful three and a half years at Yahoo, devising that strategy, traveling around the world, implementing it, you know, looking at the results, analysing the results and improving. And yeah, had an absolute ball at Yahoo. And then that led to the BBC. And BBC, it's the same sort of thing. I initially worked in the digital media side of the BBC and digital distribution operations. Very similar thing, just improving the way that they operate. And then I moved, I worked on the digital media initiative for a while I was there as well. Was
that in Manchester? Because you've moved about quite a bit for your roles.
I have, actually. That was in London. At White City. But I was involved in the project to build Media City. So actually it's weird thinking now where I'm
back at Media City.
Yeah. So the office I work in now in Media City is right opposite the first building that I went up when we, you know, instilled toe caps and headgear to, you know, go around the building. So yeah, I was sort of between a bit of time in Manchester, London, and also I spent quite a bit of time in Cardiff and Bristol as well, with the BBC, where the outdoor broadcast stuff was run from. So yeah, spent some great time at the BBC, and then I got a call from Betfair. Betfair was on my list of places to work because some of the best people I'd ever worked with were working at Betfair. So when I got the call, I was, you know, really interested in that. And I was really interested in the technology at Betfair and the sheer scale of it. So again, that was a sort of global service management type role.
Was that was that call through the recruitment team, or was it someone that you knew? I'm just trying to get an idea of.
From talent. Yeah, the sort of talent acquisition team internally. Yeah. And again, wonderful couple of years at Betfair. That was where I became a mum when I was working for Betfair as well, and I got married as well. So a lot happened in my life professionally and personally when I was at Betfair. And then I got a call from a company called Wood Mackenzie, who I'd never heard of. Like, never heard of this company. And again, some people I worked with before working there, it sounded like such a great opportunity. You know, more of where I'd sort of worked for more fast growth, fairly young, innovative companies. Wood Mackenzie was quite different to that. Had a lot of the same problems, but sort of for different reasons. And I went on there to sort of run the to be SVP of the technology services group, and that was looking after all of the staff technology. They'd been through a big digital transformation. They sold, still do, gas and oil insight, and they digitized the whole thing. Well, that was still going on when I joined, and we were getting that done, and then running basically all of the technology globally for Wood Mackenzie. And it was when I was there, I was very fortunate to be sponsored and selected to do a Harvard leadership program, which at the time was quite daunting, because I was in a new job. We'd relocated to Edinburgh. My son was still small, and I needed to go off to New York on a fairly regular basis to take part in this program.
You don't like to do things easy then, do you?
No, never. Which at the time, it was like, how are we going to manage this? But as always, my husband was super supportive, and we just made it work, because it was such an incredible opportunity to be able to do that. And it was really there that on that course, I learned so much about myself, strengths I didn't realise I have, weaknesses I should just accept and get over. And I learned a hell of a lot when I was on that course. And then eventually I went to Skyscanner after that, to look after engineering and operations. I was there for about a year, and here I am as CIO at THG. So it's been quite a journey. But I've learned a hell of a lot along the way, and been to some amazing places, and been very, very blessed to work in some great businesses, some great brands, and great people.
Yeah, absolutely. Worked for some fantastic organisations. You've had some great roles there. So tell us a little bit more about your role at THG, what you're doing there, and how that came about as well.
Yeah, of course. I mean, THG is an organisation I've admired and been in contact with actually for a number of years. I was a customer of their brands anyway. And, you know, I spoke to them quite a few years ago about a role, and the role wasn't quite right. And it's just been a relationship that I constantly maintain with their talent team, where we spoke about a number of roles on the way. I knew the company was right for me and the culture was right for me. We just need the right job.
Yeah.
And then bingo, you know, it happened, and the CIO role came up, and, you know, it was perfect for me. So yeah, that's how I ended up with THG. Known them for years, very passionate about their products and their brands, even at that time, and they've got even more now that I'm passionate and a consumer of as well. So what I do at THG is there's kind of two sides to my role, really. One is I look after all of the technology that the staff use. And that is quite vast, because that might sound like it's sort of laptops and things, and it does include that, but we're a very diverse business. So we do have staff that work in offices, but we also have staff that work in factories and warehouses and hotels and a spa, and makeup counters in Selfridges, and everything in between. So it's a really interesting environment, because we need to make sure that whether you're a picker or packer in the warehouse, you're on the exec, you're one of the drivers, you're on a makeup counter, or you're in an office, that the technology you use for your job is tip top. And we've been going through a big transformation over the last sort of 18 months, really, to transform not only the staff technology, but the way that we manage it as well. And that really comes to fruition when we went into lockdown as well, because it meant we were able to react really, really quickly and still grow as a business while we're in lockdown. So that's one half of my job, is looking after that. And then the sort of other side of my job is probably better known as global service operations. And this is being the sort of first and second line support for all of our global websites, 24/7, 365, making sure that they're up and they're performant and they're highly available. And if anything does go wrong, that is dealt with super quickly and followed up to make sure that it doesn't happen again. So that's sort of looking after all of THG's websites, plus the websites we build for other businesses like, you mentioned Nintendo. And then also we're a big hosting business. So, we've got the, tens of thousands of hosting customers, from just having a domain, like bobthebuilder.co or whatever, right up to some very, very big dedicated hosting customers. And my team do all the level 1, 2 and 3 support for our hosting business. So yeah, it's kind of, those are the 2 areas that I look after.
Fantastic. Wow. So what size, obviously you've obviously got 2 very, very key important aspects of the business as part of your role. On the people side, what size team, what remit have you got in terms of responsibility? I
think overall there's about 85 people in the team, mainly based in Manchester, some in London, couple in the US and Ukraine. The level 3 support team are in Ukraine. So and of course they're all quite different roles. You've got the sort of staff technology side of the business who are, very much your sort of Microsoft stack. We use Octave single sign-on, it's all that sort of staff technology side of things. And then on the other side with the support, it's, your support engineers, you've got guys on the phone, guys on chat dealing with tickets, right through to some very, technically skilled and experienced engineers too.
Well. Yeah, fantastic. So that brings me nicely onto my next question. How do you lead your teams? Tell us more about your leadership style, and how do you think your team would describe your leadership style?
I think I'd be surprised if anyone on my team didn't know I'm very much a people first leader. People are the most important thing to me, and we focus a lot in our team on giving people the best opportunities, getting the most out of them and being able to play them in the right position in the team to make sure that the team delivers the best result that they possibly can. So we are very, very team orientated, and we believe in strengthening each player of that team to make them the best that they can be. And we like to have the best time doing it as well. So we, as well as sort of running and supporting, we do run a big program of improvement works, but we have one program that constantly runs all the time, and that's called our One Team program. And this is all about our one team culture. And we are, there's a few of us that sort of sit in that program. We meet every 2 weeks. We talk about the team, how the team is, what we can do to make the team stronger and to develop them further. And really focusing on the people elements. So yeah, we're all very people focused, and without the people, it doesn't matter what you're trying to do. Without
people,
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
fantastic.
Great. Yeah, I mean it's a big old role, and like you say, people are key to that and everything you do. And your background in service and the support aspect as well, I'm sure it means that you've been in some situations before, difficult situations that you've had to get yourself and the business out of. Have you got any examples of any real stories, I guess, that cut deep and you really learnt a lot from?
There's probably a couple that spring to mind. One's probably a more general one. And that is, so I operate at a high level of trust. So I we're all different in that way. Trust is quite an important thing to me. That's trust I put in people and trust that people put in me. But you have to accept with that there will be times that people let you down. You trust in somebody, you trust that they told you that thing was done, and it wasn't. And it's really learning to not let that affect me too much, but just to understand, because I do operate at a high level of trust, that does enable me to work on many things at the same time, because I can put trust in people to meet certain things. But I have to accept with that that someone will let me down, and that I'll have to manage that. I think the other biggest lesson I learned, and it was on my very first day when I was a help desk agent, and a software release had been done, or it's probably more a change back then, actually. This is a very long time ago. And something broke, and a customer called in. And when I contacted the engineer to ask for help, he sort of really shouted back at me, like, you know, I'd called him out of hours. And he wasn't happy that I'd called him out of hours. And he was particularly rude to me, and put the phone down. I was really quite upset. And then I thought, hang on a minute, what are you shouting at me for? I should be shouting at you. You were the one that did this release and didn't check that it was actually working before you went to sleep. And now I'm ringing you up to correct your mistake, and you want to have a go at me about it. It's the customer that's got the problem. I haven't got the problem, and you haven't got it. You need to fix it. You caused it. So I think it was that, you know, I think when you work in support, there can be that feeling that you're the underdog. Yeah. And that, you know, you mustn't tell other people in tech that things are broken, or maybe they need to address something in their area. But that's kind of a big part of your job, is, you know, you are the keeper of the live services and making sure they're available for customers. And if they're not, you need to work with the appropriate people to get it back up and running. So I think I learned from that very first day, even though it upset me, I learned how important that frontline role is. Those level 1 engineers that are on the coalface. It's a really important job, and it should never be undermined.
Yeah, agree. Yeah, no, definitely. I think it would be interesting, obviously, your background in service and then taking on other areas of the organisation. Like you say, you've taken on the technical side of it, development before as well. How did you find that adjusting from the service manager role as you progressed up and took on bigger areas of the business?
I think so very, very early on in my career, when I was, I said I was doing these projects in the summer holidays, I did used to dabble with some development. So, you know, it was kind of more like Visual Basic, automated workflow, something called Step 2000 that I worked with years ago. And the bit I really enjoyed when I was doing that was talking to the customer about what they were trying to achieve, or what problem they were trying to solve. And then I found the bit of going and building it quite boring. I was like, oh, okay, oh, great. So that, and then hope, so that will get you that result. And then I'd go off and I'd kind of build it. And then I'd come back and go, so like that. And they'd be like, yeah, nearly, but just change that bit. And it was the interaction with the customer and the understanding the problem bit that I solved, not actually doing the technical bit. So I guess when I started to inherit that more technical in the development teams, and you know, inheriting things like security, and the CISO reported into me when I was at Wood Mackenzie, it was all very much the same thing for me. It was about, right, okay, development team, what problems are you solving? And I really wanted them to, and I felt they needed to understand the purpose of what they were doing and what difference it was going to make. Because to me, if you can't understand that, then why are you doing it? And you don't need to be technical. And had some fantastic technical resource and people and skills and experience. There was loads of it, but they needed to be focused on the right things. And that's where I felt my strengths really came in, was being able to, you know, I sat on the board at Wood Mackenzie and being able to say, right, okay, right, so that's where we want to get to, and that's what you're trying to achieve with that. And then I'm thinking in my head, so why are we building this, this and this? So I could go back to the team and actually tell the story. And I think storytelling is a massive part of my role, being able to understand a problem, convert it into a story that can be very clearly and quickly conveyed to the people that can actually deliver the thing that will achieve that and get that done. And then that ends in success. And the more that you succeed with the team, the morale gets higher. You know, that like, we did it, we've delivered something, and it delivered that result. We've either saved this much money for the business, or we've created an opportunity that drives more revenue for the business. What's next? Okay, so the next thing we're going to try and do, or the next opportunity. So even though, you know, my technical skills were lost or non-existent from those early days, it was the storytelling piece
And it's so important, isn't it, to be, and also to be able to give people like the vision, but also the job satisfaction. That storytelling piece is so important to everyone, because it's actually interesting how many times you'll ask someone in a business, so why are you doing that then? And they'll go, oh, I've been told to do that. Whereas it sounds like what you're trying to really create, which creates a better team environment and a better culture at the end of it, is by taking everyone on that journey about what THG are really trying to achieve, which I'm sure in turn helps push the core values of the business as well, which is amazing. I always think that service managers make great leaders anyway, I think because of the level of the communication aspect. So I think that definitely advantage to start off in service and then progress.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, and I hope over time we start to see more people taking that track as well, and realizing that, you know, those communication skills translate into fantastic leadership skills too.
Definitely.
Fantastic, yeah. It sounds like, I mean, obviously you've mentioned quite a number of things during this podcast around how you motivate your people, how you motivate your teams. Obviously you're a very kind of people-led leader, and rightly so. We said before about how, you know, obviously without your people, what do you have? It is all about your people, and that's the most important thing. Is there anything else that you haven't mentioned that you do to specifically to motivate your teams, or anything that you've had to adapt and change given the current climate? Obviously we're still on lockdown at the moment, so if there's anything that you've kind of implemented that's new that the listeners might be interested in hearing about, or anything that you think you do differently?
Well, I think there's a couple of things. I mean, I think with lockdown, to be honest, we weren't all under the same roof anyway, so we were always very used to video calling and talking to each other. In fact, we probably talk to each other more now on lockdown because we have, you know, a stand up every single morning with the entire team. We check in with everybody and make sure they're okay. So that's probably increased a bit, but it was already there. We've just increased it as we're all remote now. Something we work on in the team, we've got a very simple method that we follow. We just call it SWD, which stands for strengths, weaknesses and desires. So this is something we do with every individual in the team, and they simply fill out a form that says, what do you think strengths are? What are your weaknesses and what are your desires? And where we talk about the team and every challenge we get faced with, we always want to put the members in the team into the right positions to deliver that thing. So if you've got a project and maybe it's very deeply technical, maybe there's a high level of data analysis or organization or communication, you kind of pick the right strengths, the ingredients that you need to deliver that thing. And that can be a different shape for everything that you're doing. What we also use that for, this strengths, weaknesses, desires things covers that, but it also covers where we want to give people the right coaching. So in a couple of different ways, as in you might have a strength that you could strengthen even more to make you totally amazing. In that case, we'll match you up with a coach. You might have a weakness you want to develop that we can use to match you up with a coach. You might have a weakness that you just go, forget it. Just scratch it off. There's no point trying to develop that weakness. Let's put the effort into developing your strengths further. So it allows us to work all of that stuff out as part of somebody's development plan. We obviously can find somebody with a strength that can help somebody develop someone's weaknesses, and we can match coaches up that way. And then the desires piece is really about where we try and match people up with the right mentors. That's sort of that, who do you want to be or what do you want to be when you grow up? And then finding somebody who's maybe either on the journey to that role or in that role and matching them up. And that's not always somebody in the same organisation.
I was going to ask that if it was always internal.
Yeah, I mean, I have always looked for mentors and coaches for people not only in the same organisation but outside. And I'm doing that with a couple of my guys at the moment, where I know there's people I've worked with or around at other organisations that are just exactly where I think they want to be, and they've met and had a coffee, and you know, they're kind of learning from each other. So this one little exercise that's so straightforward and doesn't take a lot of time or brain power to do just gives us so much data and insight to help us deliver things well, because we can play people in the right positions, but also helps put together that sort of coaching and mentoring and development plan for everybody, to help them all be better and develop their career at the same time.
Fantastic, amazing. It's a new one to me. I haven't heard of that one before, and it sounds brilliant.
No, we made that one up. It's not there. You can find it in a book. It was just one of those. This is quite straightforward and simple, and therefore people will be able to complete it.
Well, sometimes you can overcomplicate these things.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's simple, easy to follow, doesn't take a lot of time, but it will really help you to understand the desires and drivers of your people and what they need help with. And the fact that the mentoring side that you look externally as well is amazing, because I often think that actually an external mentor is always better than internal, because there's always going to be certain things that you might not want to
conflict of interest.
Exactly. Fantastic. So what are you most passionate about at the moment?
It will always be the people thing, and that's obviously, I've talked about that a lot on this podcast, but it's just continuing to work with the people in the team. We've still got lots to go on and do at THG, which is really, really exciting. I am involved with a few things outside of THG. I work really closely with Trafford Domestic Abuse Services, recently become a trustee for that charity on their board. And it's a really challenging time for domestic abuse, and it's been interesting joining the board in with my technology capacity and having a think about what we can do and what we can achieve together. So that's really exciting for me. I'm right at the beginning of that. And I'm also involved with the UK IT Leaders Group, and I sit on the board of that as well, which is a group of senior IT, sort of director, CIO, CTO level roles. We're a group of people that get together, have discussions, help each other out, and we hold events. We've been doing virtual events sort of in the evenings. To just help each other out. And we are a group of IT leaders, and we're ran by IT leaders, and we kind of understand what challenges we're all trying to achieve, and we work with other vendors and suppliers as well to match that up and help each other out. So that's exciting as well, because I feel I'm giving back, back to
definitely. I've seen quite a lot of them. I've seen a lot of action around that on LinkedIn recently. Actually, there's been quite a lot of promotional material, and there's some great people involved in that. And we can maybe touch on it again towards the end of the session. But any of the listeners and viewers are interested in. So we spoke to someone actually, one of the directors at Experian last week, and he lives in the south, and he was saying that he felt that there wasn't really much of a tech community or like a leadership community that he could pull on. So it was quite interesting, because I think I saw that you have got a southern part within the north.
Yeah, although it did start as a Northern IT Leaders Group. Some of us are not originally from the north, so we're still in contact with some in the south who were going, we haven't got anything like that down here. And we started sort of doing it separately, and there was a group for the Midlands as well. And then it was like, look, we're just UK leaders. And actually, as we went into lockdown, it made more sense, because the reach is so much easier virtually and online. Not like when it was Northern IT Leaders and we said, right, we've got an event and it's in Manchester, this evening, and there'd be a certain amount of us come together. When it's virtual, you can invite everybody, it's fine. So that's when we went through this change of going, right, it's UK IT Leaders and it's open, it's open to everybody. But, it is strictly, the group is strictly IT people. There are no suppliers or vendors in there. It's completely IT leaders. So, it's a safe place where we can help each other out without anyone selling anything to us.
Yeah. It's nice just to have that reassurance, isn't it, as leaders? I think sometimes everyone has a bit of a wobble now and again. Everyone gets a bit of imposter syndrome, so it's nice to be able to have that backup and support that you can get in a group like that. And you said there's a WhatsApp group, is there? So you're all messaging.
It started as a WhatsApp group. We've now got our own app, the UK IT Leaders app. So if anyone does want to, yeah, you've got to, haven't you, really?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it just got grew so big that you know, it started off as a group on WhatsApp. So now we've got our own app, and if you want to join the group, you just go to the Apple Store or the Play Store or whatever and download the app, fill out the registration, and then we review it, because we're very strict about who's allowed in the group. You know, I'm sure you wouldn't be surprised to hear that you get some salespeople trying to sneak in, but we do our investigative work. And if you are a genuine IT leader, you will be more than welcome in the group. And I'm sure you'd love being part of it as well.
Brilliant. That sounds like great fun. So, impressive career. I'm sure there's been many highs along the way, but what would you say is your greatest achievement?
Whoa, wow. I haven't even thought about that. I've never had a chance to stop for a second and think. I don't know. I mean, I never planned any of this, and it's just been an absolute ball, all of it. I've been so blessed with the opportunities that I've had and the people that I've worked with. You know, I think recently in the team I'm working with at the moment at THG, the absolute grit and perseverance and rigor that the team showed when we went into lockdown and we had a lot of stuff to do really quickly. You know, I know it was a challenging time for everybody, but the team were just incredible. I was truly very proud of what we achieved, not only in getting the whole business home and effectively working, you know, with hardly any issues at all, but actually we had to completely reinvent the way that we do our job pretty much overnight. It's like, well, we've gone into lockdown, we've got 40 new people starting on Monday. How's that going to work? They're not coming to the office. They're not going to be in our induction on Monday morning where we hand out 40 laptops. How are we going to do that? And, you know, we'd been working on zero touch provisioning and all of that. So we got that launched, you know, immediately, and worked with suppliers to get, you know, equipment shipped directly to people's home addresses, and those that were leaving, you know, getting packages and boxes sent to their houses to get their kit put in and taken back. You know, it was, so I think, you know, I've been part of some amazing programs and delivered some great things, but you know, these are such, we'll never go through a challenge like this in our lifetime.
Hopefully. Not
for the first time. If it happens again, so we'll be fine. But, you know, this is certainly one of the biggest things that probably happened to a few of us in our lifetime, in our working life. And the team dealt with it so incredibly well, and, you know, delivered and developed some new things as well at the same time. So I'm probably most proud of that.
Great. I guess that level of unity, and that it's brought the team together as well. It sounds like you've already had a really close team anyway, but it's funny, isn't it? Can bring everyone together. I think this will be an interesting question, Jo, because you're such a people person. But if you hadn't have gone into tech, what would you do for a career?
Wow. Yeah, that is an interesting one. I probably would have been a tennis coach. So tennis was the sport that I enjoyed. And, you know, I did qualify as a tennis coach. And when I did that first job on the help desk, I was still doing tennis coaching at the weekend. And I actually thought it would go the other way. I thought the help desk job was the bit on the side and the tennis would be the way that I would go. And I wasn't expecting to have enjoyed my career in technology, and which is quite worrying in a way. You wonder how many other people are out there that have no idea how rewarding a career in technology could be.
Agreed. Yeah.
Because
100%.
they're not a pure techie. But yeah, I thought it would go the other way. So I think I probably would have carried on being a tennis coach.
It's interesting that, isn't it? That was, there were two paths in front of you. The one you didn't think you would have taken has taken you on this amazing career. And it's been, but actually, I think you made a, oh, sorry, what you were saying?
I was just going to say, it's actually not that different when I think about it. It's kind of like, help identifying where people need help, you know, that coaching element of, you know, try it this way, let me just show you, now you try, you know, a lot of that.
Still very
when
you're,
you know,
yeah.
Brilliant.
Do you still play tennis now?
I haven't played tennis for years.
It's good weather for tennis at the minute. You should be getting out.
Ellie, you've been playing a bit, haven't you?
I've been playing.
Yeah,
I probably need a coach.
Yeah, the weather's been great, hasn't it? Until I take the day off today. No, it's
no, as well. So, you've obviously got a very high pressured key position, particularly everything that you've had to deal with more recently. I would have said do you still play tennis to keep yourself sane and healthy and manage all that stress? But obviously not. So what do you do? How do you find, like, what, I guess, kind of giving other people like tips and advice around how do you manage the stress of everything and how do you keep yourself sane and healthy?
I think it's because I enjoy, it's that old saying of, if you enjoy your job, you'll never work a day in your life. I am thoroughly excited by what I do. And I think if you can find something you're excited about, and you get to do that every day, there will be bad days, and hopefully there'll be few and far between. And when they happen, you just have to remember that. And, I think it's all about teamwork, whether you're at work or whether you're at home. And, thinking about my family and my husband and my son, and what an incredible team Drake that we are. It's all about working things out and working together. But I think it just goes back to the fact that, when I wake up in the morning, I'm very excited about what's ahead of me, and I don't feel dread. Now, I do remember at one point in my career, very, very, very early on, being in that position where I did wake up with dread. Almost thinking, even on a Sunday evening, oh God,
it's awful, isn't it?
Oh, it's Monday tomorrow. And I made a decision to not do that anymore and to enjoy my work. And that, I guess that sounds easier than it really is, but when it is true, then I just think it makes you able to cope with a lot more because you're enjoying it. But yeah, I get, there's not really much more to it. I'm not, I don't particularly go to the gym and, beat it out of myself that way. I've just got a really supportive family. We work together well as a team. So yeah.
I find that spending time with the family helps as well, though, doesn't it? Like, I've got, you've got a son, haven't you? And
yes,
a little boy who's 5. And just that even just that, like 15-20 minutes in, I don't know if you still do this with yours because he's a little bit older, but like I get into bed with him and read him a few books and cuddles and that, for me, like if I'm stressed at all about work, I'm just like, oh, this makes it feel so much better.
Oh, definitely. I think it's the simple things. But certainly for me, I don't need a lot to enjoy myself. And it's things like you say, reading a book with your son or talking nonsense with your son or playing badminton in the garden or swing ball or having a bath and a glass of wine and watching a movie. These things are really pleasurable and enjoyable and few and far between, but they are simple things. It doesn't take a lot to kind of help you switch off and wind down.
It's just taking that time to make sure you do it, isn't it, more than anything else?
Absolutely.
Cool, fantastic. So last question for you, which is a nice question to just close everything off. What are you most excited about at the moment? What have you got? What big plans have you got coming up, say, over the next 6 to 12 months?
I think and I've probably touched on elements of them all the way along. There's obviously, the role at THG, there's still so much to do. The business is growing incredibly. Who knows what we'll do next? Some of it we know, some of it we don't, but it's exciting. And, that challenge of always needing to be able to react very quickly and grow at pace is one that I really relish. So there's obviously, you know, my role, and then there's the stuff we do with the UK IT Leaders Group, and continuing to work with them and put back into the industry. You know, some of the things that we're thinking about in there, doing more mentoring and coaching in the industry, you know, with people inside that group and connected to that group. And you know, the role at TDAS as well, you know, that's quite new for me, in the trustee role there. And really, you know, I've worked with the charity quite a bit in the past, but this is, you know, me now formally working with them. And, you know, looking to see where we can go with technology in that space. And you know, I've got so much to learn as well in that role. So, you know, it's just really exciting to know that I've got opportunities where I'm going to learn so much in the future. So yeah, I got lots of things to be excited about.
Sounds like you've got some great challenges there, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And also you've got the new amazing office move coming up, this huge project.
It's that as well. Yeah, THG, the big new campus, which, you know, my team and I are heavily involved in. That's absolutely mind-blowing. You know, we have several projects that are, you know, sometimes once in a career lifetime opportunities, and we've got several of those going on at the moment. You mentioned THG. There's also Icon, the Europe's largest creative studio that we're building as well. There's our hotels and refurbishments there. So yeah, I mean, it's hugely exciting, and we are absolutely blessed to be in a position where we get the opportunity to work on some of the biggest projects in Europe, which is great.
That's fantastic. Definitely keeping you busy and challenged, which is amazing.
Definitely.
So we will end it there and let you go and enjoy your champagne and seafood.
Yes, thank you.
I'm sure you've got a wonderful afternoon planned with Team Drake anyway. So
Yeah, definitely. Yes, I have. Yeah, thanks.
Happy birthday. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Yeah, definitely. And are you happy if people want to get in touch via LinkedIn to reach out? And obviously...
Yeah, via LinkedIn, and again, the UK IT Leaders Group. If people want to join the group, just download the app and register, and we look forward to welcoming you.
Perfect. Amazing. Thank you very much for your time, Joanna. Great having you on.
Thank you. Pleasure. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.